Welcome to Beatsource Tech. My name is Mojaxx and it's no secret that I'm a big fan of the CDJ-3000s from Pioneer DJ. But there's also no question that they have been lagging behind the competition somewhat in one particular area, the ability to play streaming music directly on the players. Well, today, that's all about to change. I made a video a while back about how the CDJ-3000 has definitely won this generation when it comes to media players in club DJ booths around the world. And whilst that might indeed be true, it's also impossible to avoid noticing that the tech in the CDJs has fallen slightly behind the competition in some areas, with their lack of support for streaming music being the most obvious. Well, as of today, that has indeed changed. Pioneer DJ have built upon their existing cloud direct play technology, which allows users to play tracks on the 3000s from their personal Rekordbox collection via Dropbox, and have now announced streaming direct play, exclusively for Beatport streaming users. Before I get into it, cards on the table, Beatsource is part of the Beatport group of companies, meaning I am a Beatport employee, so I'm obviously not here to do some kind of objective review of this new feature. Put simply, this is Pioneer DJ adding support into their players for one of our services, so that would be impossible. What I can do, however, is show you how it all works and hope that you can form your own opinions based on that. There are what I would call two levels to the integration. The first level is available to all users of CDJ-3000, so all you need is a free trial for either the advanced or professional Beatport streaming plans, and as long as everything is updated and wired up correctly at your next gig, you can try it out for yourself at no cost. As there is no offline locker support on the CDJs, the main difference you'll find in between the two plans is the audio quality. The advanced plan will work great for exploring the catalogue and discovering new music in a home or studio setting, but I'd really recommend the professional plan if you intend to perform live with Beatport Streaming, as the audio quality is far superior. The second level of the integration requires the user to also have an active subscription to a Rekordbox plan, either creative or professional. Those are the two which enable Cloud Library Sync and Cloud Direct Play, which then allows DJs to fully prepare their Beatport tracks and playlists within the Rekordbox software. That's a kind of workflow I've been wanting for a long time, so that makes me very happy, but you may not feel it's necessary for you. Either way, I'll show you both options and you can decide for yourself. Coming back to the hardware setup, this update is only for the CDJ-3000s and no other CDJ models. They will need to be updated to firmware version 3.00, which includes streaming direct play. Then you'll need to actually connect the players to the internet. Although they don't contain any Wi-Fi hardware, this is still actually quite simple, as all you need to do is make sure there is an internet access point connected to the existing Pro DJ Link network. So you link the players and mixer, if you're using one which supports Pro DJ Link, to a network switch, and then also connect to a wired router via your home or the venue's existing wiring. If you aren't sure how to set up a Pro DJ Link network properly, I made an earlier video about that, which I'll link above. You could also, in theory, use a wireless access point to connect the switch to the wider internet, although I'd always recommend going hardwired if possible for maximum stability. Speaking of stability, I will also note that, as with Cloud Direct Play, tracks played from Beatport Streaming are fully cached to the players as soon as they're loaded. So should you lose internet connection for any reason during your performance, as I'm simulating here, any loaded tracks will continue to play right through. You can even jump back to earlier cue points and use other player features, whilst you resolve the issue or change to another music source. So with all that said, let's give you an idea of how this all works. So let's be clear, the stuff that I'm about to show you in the first half of this video does not require any kind of subscription plan for Rekordbox. You will of course need a subscription to Beatport Streaming, either the advanced or the professional plan, but this functionality is then available to any CDJ-3000 user. Of course, you need the basics in place. You need to make sure that the firmware has been updated to the correct version so that Beatport is supported, and you need to make sure that your players, up to 4 of them, are all connected to the internet via Pro DJ Link and your LAN hub. This indicator in the top right of the screen will show you that your internet connection is good. If there's a yellow triangle there, there's some kind of problem with the connection and you need to take a look at your overall setup. But what we see here, we are connected to the internet, the player is booted, but we don't have access to Beatport Streaming yet. And that's because you do need to have a drive attached of some sort, some kind of media device. So that would be a USB stick like I'm about to use here, or an external SSD drive, or an SD card. And it doesn't need to have a Rekordbox database on there already. Now, of course, it kind of makes sense to have a Rekordbox database on that drive, because then you can access your local music at the same time. You can load up your settings that you've saved in Rekordbox, etc. So most people, I'm sure, will be using a regular USB drive, but this one has nothing on it. It doesn't have, it's a completely formatted drive at the time of starting this video. So now we have the option. You can see Beatport Streaming has appeared. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to log in. Very simple. Do be aware that this is all caps. You might need to switch between upper and lower case as you go along, because it will be case sensitive. But yeah, I'm going to type in my username and password now, and I'll come straight back. So at this point, I'm logged in on this main player, and on my secondary player over on the right hand side, we do also have access now to the Beatport Streaming service. And that's the thing. You only need to log in on one player. It's a single sign-on, and then that will enable you to use Beatport Streaming across up to 4 CDJ-3000s at the same time. And you can also log in with different accounts on different players with different drives attached. So if you're doing a back-to-back, for example, you could have 2 different Beatport accounts logged in across the same 4 players, the same Pro DJ Link network. But of course, yeah, we just need that single sign-on. So that is something that we haven't seen before, and that's a really, really useful feature. So now let's go in and let's see how we actually browse and access the music from Beatport on here. So we have these tabs on the left-hand side. We have the top 100s, first of all. So if you're looking to find some new music to play, or you just want to play the absolute banger hits of the moment, then you can do that. So let's go into, say, Funky House. I'll click onto that. You can see it's not quite as snappy as playing directly from local music, but it's still pretty fast. Obviously, that will be dependent on what your internet connection speed is. But yeah, we can go in there, and this is the top 100. It's loading up. Now, what we aren't able to do is sort anything in here. And that's because what it's doing, as it's accessing the Beatport streaming catalog, it's pulling the information from Beatport each time. You can't go in and sort via BPM and key. And it is just pulling the traditional key notation to put in over the right-hand side. Now, normally I work with the Camelot codes when I'm doing key mixing and harmonic mixing. But yeah, you can only see the traditional keys there. One thing that you will get is when you've got a track playing on a different deck, on the master deck, then some of these will turn green to show you that it is harmonically compatible with the track that's currently playing. So that is something I work with a lot on the CDJs, and I'm really pleased to see it. We also have the ability to go through and bring up another field. So the album field, for example, the genre, the time. And so we can see different elements there, but we just can't sort by them. The other thing that is currently missing is the mix name field. So if you have, say, an EP that you're looking at, you won't be able to see what remix is which. That's because I believe that Pioneer DJ will need to incorporate the mix name field from Beatport into the track field as well, and then you'll be able to see those remixes. So hopefully that won't take too long to appear. But yeah, that's the top 100 Funky House. Then we can go back out, we can choose a different genre, and of course we can scroll with our fingers, we can scroll with the actual jog dial over there, but let's go in and let's browse via genre. So now we're in the genre tab, and we can again choose different genres, and this is going to populate with the latest music in those genres. So we have endless amounts of tracks to scroll through. Again, for discoverability, you know, if you're just trying to jam around in the studio at home and you want to find some great new music to play, this is a perfect way to do it. You can just do it straight from the player itself. You don't need to synchronize anything, go to a computer or anything like that. You can absolutely dig through these genres as you wish. Then we have the curated playlist. Again, an incredible discoverability tool. You want to find some fire new music. These playlists have been assembled by our Beatport team, so you know there's going to be great stuff in there. So we're going to drum and bass, for example, and let's choose best new drum and bass from April. And there it all is, ready to go. And then on the final tab, so that's the curated playlist, and you can see it's there for all the genres on Beatport. Then we have my playlist, and this is how I typically work with Beatport Streaming. I will go in and I will actually create playlists on the website, and then I will be able to access those in DJ software, or in this case, DJ hardware. So let me go through. We can see again, we have all of these different playlists that I've previously assembled, and they will load up. It's fairly snappy, as you can see. It doesn't take too long to go at all. So there's a load of liquid stuff. And let's go down to the one that I use for demo here. This is all stuff I can play without copyright issues here on the channel. So let's go through. Now, we're going to load a track, all right, for the first time. So let's load this one up, and you'll see two things happening. So let me just turn up the mixer. I've got a V10 here next to me. The blue bar goes across. That is downloading the track to the cache.
So that is now being cached. But the thing is, I can already play that. So I can pitch it up and down, I can scratch it, I can cue it back up, I can go back to the beginning and play it again. So you can start mixing with your track immediately. There is no delay to that whatsoever. But in the background it is still analysing the track. So now we can see, let me go back. We now have the beat grid there. I can go in and adjust that beat grid if I want. And we've got the different waveform colours, etc. I don't know why that was set to blue. That's because I didn't have any settings saved. But I can set a hot cue. I can jump through and set a cue and a memory point. I can jump through and set up a loop and save that one as a hot loop, etc. So all of that will be saved to the actual USB drive or SD card that you have attached. And that's the key here. That's why you do need that USB drive or SD card attached, because this information now has been saved out to that stick. So I can go back in, we can see we now have the waveform there. And again, if I was to do that again, so if I was to close this down, log in again with that stick attached, then actually that metadata, that overview waveform, the cue points, the memory points, etc., would all be there already. And you can see it's much quicker to load. So let me just do another one quickly. There we go. That's going to download it to the cache. And I can start playing it. So it doesn't slow you down. The fact these tracks aren't analysed does not slow you down in any way. You can start mixing with them straight away. And we have access to all the functions like beat loop and key shift, beat jump, etc. It's all there as it normally would be. All of your looping, sync, quantization, the whole lot. So yeah, let's just set a cue point on that one. Turn that off. And now if we go back, so the track that I already loaded, you can now see the difference. So it's going to download it again, but there it goes, because it's now already got that metadata there. It's already got that beat grid. It's already got those cue points. So it's much, much faster to load after you've done it, because it doesn't need to analyze anything. It just needs to get the file from Beatport and then off it goes. So that's basically how you browse through the catalog, whether it be your own playlist or the curated list or the top 100s, etc. All of that available to you to use. So as well as browsing, we also have the ability to search the entire Beatport catalog as well. And that's just done as you would do with local files. You hit the search button up the top and let's pop in what we want to search for. So let's just search for Fisher Take. I know that's one of the hottest records right now. So we're going to search for that. And I've already played that one using this stick. So there we go. Load it up. Let's go. And again, because it's already been analysed once, it doesn't need to analyse again. It's ready to roll. So as you can see, the full access to the catalogue is there. Whether you want to do it through playlist or whether you want to do it through search, it is all there. Works really, really well. And likewise, if I go to a linked player, I can also go in and let's do a track over here. Let's go in this playlist. And I've only had to log in on the one player. So as you can see, we're not losing any of the features on the CDJ-3000s. They work pretty much exactly the same as they do with local music. So as I made clear at the beginning of this video, everything I've shown you up to now is available to any CDJ-3000 user who has a subscription to Beatport Streaming, be that the advanced or the professional plan. But when you start to combine it with a subscription to Rekordbox as well, either their creative or their professional plans, then things do start to level up somewhat. So if you are deep into Beatport Streaming and you want to use it in lots of your performances and you want a bit more control over the way you can use it, then it's definitely worth looking at one of those Rekordbox plans to go alongside it, even if you're not going to take advantage of the other features that come with those plans. And there are a lot of features that come with it. But in this case, we're just going to look at using it with Beatport Streaming. So the big thing here is the new version of Rekordbox now supports Beatport Streaming in export mode, not just performance mode. Whereas before, performance mode had all the streaming options in there. Beatport is now within export mode as well. And that's not because we're going to export Beatport tracks to a USB drive or SD card. We're going to work with the cloud functionality. So you're going to want to make sure you've turned on the cloud option inside Rekordbox. So you go in and you hit My Page and you turn on Cloud Library Sync, and that will enable Cloud Library Sync. And that will enable you to upload tracks to Dropbox and access them via the Cloud Direct Play feature. but we're going to do something slightly different to that here. So we've got the Beatport tab over on the left-hand side, and I can expand and I can look at the top 100s. I can look at my playlist, the curated playlist, the genres. All of that is available as it was before. So I can just go into any of those. Let's go into the top 100, for example, load that up. And there you go. So it's all there. We have no waveforms or anything, of course, because it hasn't been analyzed, all of this music. But let me now go to one of my playlists. Let's choose this one. Let's choose June 10th. Okay, so that playlist is there. It's got 35 tracks in it. What I'm going to do at this point, I could individually add these tracks to my main Rekordbox library, but I'm not going to do that. So I could right click and then add to playlist and import to collection. But I'm going to do right click on the playlist itself and import playlist. So now I go back up to my main Rekordbox collection there. We have our playlist and I have my June 10th right there. Now I'm going to right click on these tracks. I don't have auto analysis enabled, so I'm going to analyze these tracks. I'm going to let that go and it will analyze them all. So I will come back to you in a second when that's finished. So all of the tracks are now analyzed. They have beat grids and I can set cue points. So I can set hot cues. I can set memory points. I can set hot loops, whatever I want with those. I can adjust the beat grids, etc. I can then also sort this playlist however I want. So I can sort via BPM, via key, and I can renumber track order. And that means the playlist is in that order when it goes into the players later on. That means we have lots of different ways of working now with this playlist and organizing in different ways and actually doing prep ahead of time. Now that won't automatically show up on the players. What we need to do now is get a connected device. So I've got, in this case, an SD card, and I need to go down and I need to authorize that for Cloud Direct Play. So I'm going to do that, authenticate this device. That is now authenticated. And all of that information that I've done, that has been synced to the cloud already. So in the Rekordbox software, that's already in the background, uploaded all of that data to the cloud. So those grids, those cue points I've set, etc., they are all there now in the cloud and it's ready to go. So I'm going to eject this SD card and we'll go back to the players. So I'm returning back to my player. I'm going to insert that SD card that I authorized for Cloud Direct Play. Pop it in, close the lid. And now we have another option. So as you can see, we've got the local files, we have Beatport Streaming, and we have Cloud Direct Play. So logging into Cloud Direct Play does not require a username and password. It's already been authorized on that device. So I'm just going to click Login, and it's going to log in. And it says there, to use the streaming service, you must log into the service on this unit. So you do still need to go in to the Beatport Streaming tab and log in. So again, I'm going to put in my username and password and come right back to you. So now that's done, I am logged in to Beatport and I'm logged into Cloud Direct Play as well. So we can still access all the Beatport content in the same way that we did before. We've got the top 100s, we have the genres, we have the curated playlist, and my own playlists are all there, and that will work in exactly the same way. Any changes I make to those tracks, any metadata that I generate will be saved back to the SD card. But where things change a little bit is where we go into now the cloud. So let's go in there. And now we go to my playlist, and there we can see we have that June 10th playlist that I just put into my main Rekordbox library on my computer. So I can click through on there and it'll take a second or two, but that will populate with the full waveforms, any cues and loops that I've already saved. You can see it's starting to fill out down the bottom there. And we have more options to how we work with this playlist now on the CDJ itself. So I can sort by different fields. I can sort by the number. I can sort by track. I can choose different fields. I can sort by artist. I can sort by BPM, and I can sort by key. And you'll notice as well that my key information is now in the Camelot key format, which is my preferred way of working. It may not be for you. You can set that in Rekordbox however you like. But yeah, the green traffic light system as well to show you that a track is harmonically compatible, that will still show up. We just have different ways of working. And of course, I've done all this ahead of time, so there's no need to wait for the analysis to get done. It's just going to download the track to the cache, and everything's there already. My memory points, my hot cues, my hot loops, all of that is already there. And the other great feature about having the Cloud Direct Play option like this and working in this way is that if I now set a hot cue onto this track, or jump through and set another hot cue, then that information will be fed back to my main Rekordbox library. When you're working in the Beatport tab, it will only save to the local drive. But when you're working in the cloud tab and you're working with your main Rekordbox library, that will be fed back to your library on your computer or on your multiple computers or on your iOS device, etc. as well. So you are really working with the cloud here. It just gives you a few more options. It is fantastic to have this main Beatport tab. Working with that is plenty usable, absolutely superb. But as I say, if you're deep into Beatport Streaming, if you know you're going to be using it a lot, then on top of the already obvious advantages of a Rekordbox subscription plan to creative or professional, then this is just, for me, the icing on the cake. This is how I will be working, because it means I can sit there in my studio at home and prepare playlists and do all the analysis, set my cue points, etc., rock up to the gig, just literally log in via the Cloud Direct Play just with this one device, and I'm ready to go. All of my playlists for Beatport Streaming are right there. So there you go, a guide to using Beatport Streaming with the CDJ-3000s. I am delighted that the company have managed to incorporate this tech into their flagship media players, and it makes me very hopeful that we will also see it on other standalone Pioneer DJ hardware in future as well. Now, speaking of the future, what would I really love to see here? Well, Beatsource. You know, the technology is the same, the back end, the API is basically identical across the two, and as much as I do use Beatport Streaming myself, if you've ever watched me on Twitch, you'll know I mostly play house and I'm using Beatport Streaming on there. But in real life, at gigs, I'm an open format DJ, and so Beatsource is very much my go-to in those kind of situations. So yeah, I've got my fingers crossed that at some point we will manage to get Beatsource on there as well. And if you're a Beatsource user, you also use 3000s in your performances or at home, do let us know in the comments if that's something you would like to see. Also in the comments, just give us your thoughts about this technology in general. How well have Pioneer DJ done with this? Is this something you will be using in your performances in future? Sound off and let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching this episode of Beatsource Tech. I do hope you've enjoyed it or found it useful. If you have, please give the video a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any future videos. I'll see you next time.